And speaking of notebooks, I had a bug up my butt. It was like 2 weeks ago to make some notebooks and throw them
Was
up in
it a
my Etsy
cicada?
shop. No, no, they were just like colored notebooks with really heavy paper, and they
How
sold
long's it
like
been there? Yeah.
really quick. Huh?
Are you all right?
I said, how
Sorry,
long's
we're
it been
still.
there? Yeah. Still on the bug up the butt. Yeah. Hello, folks. Welcome to the Erasable Podcast. This is episode 163. The cruelest month is over, and by that I mean we've almost made it through February of 2020. And it is spring-ish, depending on where you are in the country, but we are here to have a good old-fashioned Fresh Points episode, catch up on some stuff, and talk about some things that we're anticipating. Yeah, and so glad to be with you, and I'm, of course, joined by two of the finest gentlemen I know, Andy and Johnny.
Hello.
How's it
Where's
going,
where,
dudes?
where are the gentlemen? It's just us, I thought.
Yeah, you did make more
Mhm.
friends, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just being
You know-
nice, but never again.
We used to call these Fresh Point episodes Fresh Points of Bel Air.
Oh yeah.
And remember that? Like, then
We need to
then
get
we
back to that.
stopped. We do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fresh Points of Bel Air.
Oh
Man,
man, I'm gonna have that
that's
song
classic.
in my head all night.
I say we
In
reinstate
West
that tradition.
Pennsylvania, born and
Yes.
raised.
Oh, nice. Cool. So you guys doing all right?
Yeah.
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 It's been a long week. It's only Tuesday.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Even my son was sitting up, like getting ready to go to bed, and he had his PJs on. We were asking him to brush his teeth. He says, "Tomorrow, Friday?" No, man.
Oh,
I
God.
wish, dude.
But
No, it is Tuesday. You're not even close.
do you want to see the spirit just go out of the eyes of a child?
Yeah, I should have just been like, yes.
Yes.
It'll be here faster if you go to sleep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try that.
Yeah, you never know.
Kids go to sleep tomorrow's Friday. It is? Yeah.
What?
Yeah, we're doing something fun.
I'll just tell them that they dreamt it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys fell asleep on the couch. I carried you to bed. Yeah.
Yeah, man. You guys were out last night. Wow.
Nice. All right. Well, let's dig in. Let's start with tools of the trade. And Johnny, go for it.
Awesome.
Tell us what you've been stealing and showing.
So I think I'm late to the game, but I've gotten really into Austin Kleon's work. So I just devoured Steal Like an Artist and Show Your Work, and the third one, Keep Going, is here. It came today, so I'll read it like tomorrow because they're pretty quick reads. And like, how do I say this? I feel like sometimes the terminology that he uses can sell himself short, if that makes sense. I know, there's the pun on Show Your Work, but it's really about getting your work out there. And I feel like if you don't read the back of the book, then you just kind of miss it.
Mm.
And same with Steal Like an Artist. I'm like, oh, the book is way better than it sounds like when you look at the cover. The first time I saw it, I was like, that doesn't sound interesting. I don't want to read that. But it was like super great. I love it. And he does a lot of cool zine stuff, and he likes pencils, so he's just a very fun person to follow. And I read World of Wonders that also everyone else in the world's already read. I didn't know what that book was about either from the cover. I thought it was about interesting, entities in nature that are full of wonder, like narwhals. But it's not. It's really just personal essays, which were really good. That was also a book that was way better than the title would lead you to believe. But totally recommend it. That was like really a page turner. And there is a section about narwhals, and I did learn a lot about narwhals. They're so adorable. But there was nothing in there on koalas, which almost ruined the book for me because I love koalas. But yeah, that's my boring life lately. I'm rewatching Shetland because why not?
Did you get to the part about the ponies?
No. I don't think there's a single horse in the whole series. A lot of
What?
Volvos. Yeah.
A lot of
And-
Volvos.
And I've never been to Scotland, so I can't say if this is just the show, but it seems like everybody in Scotland has 3 French presses in their kitchen, and that's it. Which, like, oh, another reason I need to go live there. But my allergies have been like ballistic lately, so I'm shut in with the air conditioning on, even though it's like in the 40s at night, watching a Scotland show with coffee at 11 o'clock. Cozy life.
Living the dream. Yep.
Yeah. And so I'm writing with a Statler Norris because I forgot what an awesome pencil this was, and I picked one up recently, and I'm like, hot damn, it's just perfect. And I'm just writing on whatever scraps were sitting around, which is a lot of stuff. How about you, Andy?
I was talking to Katie before we started just to remember what all television we've been watching, and we've been watching a lot of things that have like short seasons. Have either of you heard of Mayor of Easttown?
No.
So it's this HBO show, and it's if you took one of those just really dreary British murder shows. Oh, like that one with David Tennant that I can't remember the name of.
Broadchurch?
Yeah. If you take something like that, but set it in Pennsylvania, and so Kate Winslet stars as Mare, and she's a police detective in this small town in Pennsylvania called Easttown.
I thought it was about a horse.
Yeah, and it's just a really small town, dreary, but also very good murder mystery. And it's funny because SNL last week parodied it because everybody has this very specific accent that to me sounds like a Baltimore accent. There's a lot of like, no, like I can't even do it right.
Oh, East PA is like that.
Yeah, it is. It really is. It's in the parody was like it was this guy's daughter was murdered, and so it was like, you murdered my dirter. It's like my dirter is murdered. You found her in the water.
Hey, I found my daughter in the water. God.
And so imagine Kate Winslet, this British actor, doing this accent. It's very good. It's very bleak, very bleak. It's always super gray in this town and raining. I assume that's what East Pennsylvania is like. We're in episode 4. If you like the Catholic Church, I would recommend watching it. Let's just say that.
This is like my show. I'm gonna check this out.
I think you would like it, Johnny. I think you would really like the first episode. Katie and I were like, I think Johnny would like this. Also watched and finished the final and third season of Shrill. That is that show with Aidy Bryant from Saturday Night Live. That's set in Portland and is really good. They just posted all of that end of last week, I think. So we watched all 8 episodes because they're short, went fast. We didn't have a lot else to do this weekend. Watch that. And finally, there's this other show that we are in the middle of that is on Peacock. It's a Peacock original show, which is NBC's streaming app. Have either of you heard of Rutherford Falls?
It sounds familiar, but I have no idea what it is.
Yeah, this one, it's really good. It's starring Ed Helms, who played Andy in The Office. And this guy lives in this place called Rutherford Falls, which is named after his ancestor.
That sounds like a fake name that Andy Bernard would come up with.
Yeah, we're not sure that Andy Bernard is not just playing this character. It's really good. It's kind of a quirky comedy. It has a lot of Parks and Rec vibe to it, I think. And it is a little bit about colonialism, interestingly, because his forefathers built this town, but they built it kind of using this trade agreement with a Native American tribe, and that tribe is still in existence. They run like a casino in town, and it's a little bit about that. It's a really good show. It's funny and it makes you think, and it's just seems kind of sweet. So I'm liking it so far. And last thing I'll mention is this book that I started reading a couple nights ago called The Effort. It is a science fiction-ish book. It takes place in I think it takes place during the Trump administration because they talk about that. But so it's a dystopian fiction book.
Like every book of fiction written during the Trump administration.
There is a comet currently hurtling toward Earth, and this is about like different nations trying to pull together an effort to stop it. So it's a little bit Armageddon. That movie meets. Have you ever seen read Station 11?
I need to. I have it, but I haven't read it yet.
It's a really good book. It focuses on characters, but in all sorts of different sort of circumstances, and it talks a lot about sort of like what happens to society when there's just sort of a mass panic and a comet might just destroy all life on Earth. Yeah. So far so good. It's a really well written book, and I am writing with my Palomino Blackwing Palomino. Which we'll talk a little bit about in Fresh Points in some of the final pages of my Blue Leuchtturm, which we will also talk about in Fresh Points. Tim, how about you?
Nice. We have been, first and most importantly, we've been rewatching Gilmore Girls.
Oh,
nice.
So
it's funny
time.
how I feel like you have this will be like your second run of Gilmore Girls since we've been doing this podcast.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because the first time was, well, like we had started it twice, I think, and so like the first time we watched it in the podcast, I was finally finishing it for the first time, but I had seen some of them more than once.
Mm.
And then I've watched random episodes since then, but we just started right from the beginning, so we're on like episode 8, something like that. So that's been a really good fit for like what we need right now. And we're also, because it's also an antidote to the other thing we're watching, which is Yellowstone. Have you guys watched
Mm.
Yellowstone? It's so good. It's got Kevin Costner, and basically he's this like super powerful rancher in the Yellowstone who owns an absurd amount of land and who's going to like crazy means to keep control of the land. So there's part of it where he's this like righteous dude who's trying to save the land from like modernity, like taking over and turning it into casinos and hotels. But he's also got like a sort of Walter White side to him where he's willing to do some evil stuff if he has to. And so there's these developers that are trying to encroach on his land, and then but there's also the local Native American tribe that's trying to take back sections of the land. And it's just a family drama about his family that runs this ranch called the Yellowstone. And it's very good. It gets pretty dark, but we love it. It's on, I think you can watch it on Peacock, but it airs on Paramount originally. So the third season comes out, or the fourth season comes out this summer sometime. And we're somewhere in the second season. It's a fantastic show.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. So if it's sort of like a mix between a Western and like a Breaking Bad style show.
Yeah.
So which is right in my wheelhouse.
Deadwood, breaking Deadwood.
Yeah, it's like modern day Deadwood, sort of. I don't know. Breaking Deadwood. Yeah. Okay. And then I'm finishing up that Hank Williams biography, which I told you guys about. I think I've got like 20 pages left, which has been really good, but also a really sad ending because it's like the whole last chapter is just about his like really pitiful death. Like he just sort of drinks himself into oblivion and just fades away and like dies in the back of a car, and they don't know he's dead for like 4 hours and just drive because they're just assuming he's passed out. It's pretty bleak ending. Yeah, the whole book is, I'm glad I read it and I would recommend it to music fans. But it is just basically a book explaining just how much he drank, which is really wild. Like people describing it as him drinking bottles of whiskey like you would drink a bottle of water. Like just incredible amounts. And then he had these like quack doctors that would follow him around, and basically after he'd drink, they'd give him these weird shots that would make him throw up, and then they'd give him like amphetamines to go up on stage. Oh, wow. And then he'd get done with the show, and then he'd just start the cycle again. It was awful. And he died at 29.
Oh God.
And so this is all, so he died of like heart failure from like drug abuse by 29. It's really wild. The movie, I think I talked about that last time, but the movie gets it right. So you can just watch the movie if you're not interested in a 300-page book about Hank Williams. But I saw the light. And then I'm reading. So the last two things I'll mention is we were in Asheville recently, and I got the new and selected poems of Ron Rash, who I've talked about on here many times. But I got a physical copy of his selected poems, which is really, really great. And that's been a good source for songwriting inspiration the last several days that I've been looking through that. And then once I finish the Hank Williams book, I am going back and I am reading the Kingkiller Chronicles by Patrick Rothfuss. The Name of the Wind. We talked about that on here before?
I don't think so.
It's this like one fantasy series that I've been talked into by enough friends to read and not hate fantasy as much as I typically do. So I've read most of the first one. I thought I had finished it, but I actually didn't. But I'm just gonna start over. I'm gonna read the first one, and then I bought the second one. They're massive, but it's just kind of like this big fantasy trilogy. The third book's not out yet, but just that has a huge cult following. And the thing that got me stuck on it after reading the first like 30 pages is that it's fantasy, but he's also a really beautiful writer, which he's not. One thing that usually drives me crazy about fantasy is that they hide behind their like weird made up words all the time. Or their world building, but they don't worry about just writing a good sentence, and he's just a really good writer. So
yeah,
that's what that's what I'll be reading. I listened to some of the audiobook to get it started, but I bought a physical copy recently, so I'm gonna read that. And I am writing with, also while I was on that trip to Asheville, the brief trip to Asheville, I finally got some Blackwing 840s,
Oh yeah,
which is the coast, like the surfing one, right? Is that what it was?
yeah.
Oh
So
yeah,
they,
yeah.
yeah. So this
Yeah.
place was selling them in singles. So I just got a couple of those,
Remind me which core
which is
that
nice.
is.
I think it's pearl. I didn't even look it up,
Yeah.
but it feels like a
Yeah.
pearl.
Yep.
But yeah, I like it. It's a way. I kind of regret not buying a dozen of them. I mean, I have more pencils than I could ever use, but they're really, really gorgeous in person. I really like it. So I'm a fan officially. So I'm surprised. Yeah, legitimately surprised because I straight up avoided them. I was just like, no thanks, don't want that one. Which I don't know. I don't know why I was so definitive on it. But then when I saw them there in the cup, I was just like, oh gosh, those are actually cool. And I'm
Yeah.
glad I got them. So I got a couple of those. So I'm writing with that. I do have my Blackwing Palomino here as well, and I am using, which I'm going to talk about soon. I'm using a Marumon notebook, the Marumon notebook that is the Marumon, oh gosh, CROQUIS, which maybe means something. 265, like croquis or croak, I don't know, but it's a really cool notebook that I'll talk about in a minute. That's me. So let's do some fresh points. The Fresh Points Bel Air, the Fresh Point of Guinness. And I'm trying to think of some other
Mm.
some other puns. So Johnny, why don't you get us started?
Okay, I have some points to point out. I
Points.
roll.
Points and points.
I think Andy mentioned the Brood X books that Headbone and Story Supply Company put
Mhm.
together. My set got lost in the mail for a while. And they just showed up yesterday, but they are so freaking awesome in person.
What's the paper like?
These are the cicada ones.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure it's their regular paper.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it feels like Write Notepads, but cream colored and a little thinner. Works fine for fountain pens. As soon as I got it, I was like, "What can this can handle it?" Handled it all well. But the picture was so good. I showed it to Frankie. She's like, "No, get that away."
It's very realistic.
Yes. Yeah, and I think you can get like a sticker pack with a couple extra stickers that were skulls, and one of them is the perfect sticker of a cicada. So I'm glad I got that.
Have they emerged yet, Johnny?
I haven't found any yet. We've had, the weather keeps going up and down, and it's been cold at night lately. So, like any day, and right outside my tiny desk is by my bedroom window, which is by a lot of trees. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Probably next time we record, I'd be able to put the mic on the window. You can hear them. Oh God, that's a creepy thought. Yeah. So last I checked, when I went to go get the link for the document, they still have some left. So I have no idea if they made lots or little or what, but there definitely go get some, especially if you live in Brood X area, because creepy. And speaking of notebooks, I had a bug up my butt. It was like 2 weeks ago to make some notebooks and throw them
Was
up
it a
in my
cicada?
Etsy shop. No, they were just like colored notebooks with really heavy paper, and they
How
sold
long's
like
it been there? Yeah.
really quick. Huh?
Are you all right?
I said, how
Sorry,
long's
we're
it been
still-
there? Yeah. Still on the bug up the butt. Yeah.
You know what? I should have made. I only made 20 packs. I should have done 17 and called them the cicada books. Now I got to make some more. Every time I play with a paper cutter, I'm one step closer to losing a finger because
Oh yeah.
it's going to happen. I've cut my finger in it before and lost a nail and been like, whoa, that was close. There's a finger guard, but I have small fingers and it didn't work. But yeah, I found some really, really good paper that works well with everything, including fountain pens, and made a bunch of notebooks, and they went really quickly, which made me happy, except that they were really heavy and hard to ship. So hopefully they got to everybody safely. And I'm late with my pencil zine this month because I sent out a survey, and I'm switching it up a little bit so that instead of each issue being like one long like meditation on a theme, it's going to be something more like a newsletter or magazine, newspaper type thing
fun.
where there are different columns, and then also a themed column once a month.
Yeah. Nice.
So, yeah, I got the paper. It's bright yellow. It's going to be awesome. Hopefully.
Did
and
you-
I'm good.
Did you already talk about your Tuesday zine last time?
Did I?
don't
My
know.
really obscene. So I put out a zine that's a buck, and it's called the Tuesday Zine. And this week's is called I Effin' Hate Frozen Waffles. And it turned out to not
Edgy,
be about
Johnny.
frozen waffles. There's only one line about them where it says plus they taste SHIT. But the rest of it was about family. So, yeah, every week I think it gets a little better, and every week I sell a couple less. So I'm just going to keep doing it because it's fun. I'm not losing any money or making money. It just evens out, so it's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mentioned quickly that I'm super into Austin Kleon right now. But if you go to his website, he's got some really cool posts on there, like the comfort of a pencil, which I really appreciate it. And a lot of cool stuff on there about making zines and journals, and I don't know, it's not inspirational, it's really motivational. Hey, I'm doing some awesome work. You guys can do some awesome work. And that's good. That's what we need right now.
I think like my favorite Austin Kleon thing is just when he like periodically shows back up on Twitter and is like, "What are you people doing here? You know this place is terrible, right?"
Yeah, he doesn't get on there much.
He's get off, start a blog, send a newsletter, get off this website, and then he just disappears. And then he comes. I always love those moments. So.
Telegrams,
Yeah,
just send telegrams.
Yeah,
He does some cool
postcards,
stuff on-
postcards.
He's got a nice Instagram account. He weighs the notebooks when they're finished, like on a scale, to weigh like all the stuff that's in them. It's pretty funny.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and he has a post on there where he links to all the stuff he uses. He's, before you ask me, here's all the stuff I use, and links to it. Like, that is thoughtful and probably took a long time. So yeah, I'd definitely go check his stuff out if you like creativity at all, and also subtle humor, which I super appreciate.
Yeah.
He also has a post on there about how to break in a Sharpie that's totally legit.
Have to look for that.
So I got to find links for these. Sorry. So those are all my few fresh points. What do you have, Mr. Andy?
I actually have a bunch this time around. The first one that I'll mention, I think, is the one that I think this came out like literally the day that we published the last episode, and so I wish it came out just like slightly before. But I'm talking about the newest of the Blackwing Era collection, which, if you remember the last Blackwing Era, it was made to look like the first Blackwing, right? Like the kind of like the black with the darker ferrule and the stripe. This one is kind of going in the other direction. It is a Blackwing Palomino, and it basically looks like this Palomino that HB that the late Sean Malone sent a few pencil bloggers about 10 years ago. Johnny, you got one of these too, right?
No, I don't think so.
I thought you did. Well, he sent it. There was like a little email chain going around before social media was like a really huge thing, and back when he was still sort of like engaging with the pencil community, and before Blackwing re-released the Blackwing, before Cal Cedar re-released the Blackwing. I can't. Yeah. And so he didn't have any sort of animosity toward them, and he loved the Palomino HB, and he basically took a blue capped Pal HB and sanded down the ends and put a Blackwing ferrule on it and we didn't call it a Hackwing then, but it was the first Hackwing that I've ever seen. And this one looks exactly like that. It looks like a Palomino, blue Palomino with Blackwing cap on it.
I used those like almost exclusively for 3 years, like in the middle of our podcast. I made tons of them. I still have them like all over the house. So it's like really bizarre to be holding one that's like official.
Right.
And it definitely, yeah.
Go on, Tim. I want to hear what your thoughts on as a big fan of the Pal HB. I want to hear what your thoughts on.
Yeah, no, I mean it's cool. My main thing is it's confusing because they just brought back the Palomino HB, right? So they just brought that back. So are they getting rid of it again, and they're just doing this temporarily, or is this just, hey, you know that pencil we sell for $15? If you want that pencil but with a different eraser, it's twice as expensive. And here's the era.
Yeah,
That's basically what it is.
I thought it was a joke because, I mean, the Palomino made people, pay attention to them and made the Blackwing possible, and it's, basically gone by the wayside. So they're like, I thought it was a joke to them, be like, hey, guess what? F you, Palomino.
It's the name. The name bugs. I'm sounding more negative than I feel because I actually really like it and I'm happy with it. But like the name also bugs me because it's like a car coming out that's called the Mustang Ford.
Yeah,
Or like
they've dropped the Palomino Blackwing from their branding.
the
So like
Camry Toyota. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it reminds me. There's this like meme that's going around, and I don't even know if it's real, but it's this like clothing label called Mark by Marc Jacobs for Jacobs by Marc Jacobs by Marc Jacobs, just all on this label, and it's just so it's I joke when I say it's the Palomino Blackwing Palomino because we don't call it the Palomino Blackwing anymore. It's just Blackwing.
Yeah.
But we're just gonna go ahead and slap Palomino back on it.
But I mean, it is cool, and I've been using it, for several days now and enjoying it just fine. I mean, it's not one that I mean, it's kind of nice. It's like getting a bunch of hack-winged HBs, and then I don't have as much of the stock up impulse on it because I had been making them for years before. But
Because you still have some, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, I still have 80 HBs left.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's a really, if this were like years down the line and the Palomino had kind of gone by the wayside, it feels like it'd be a really nice tribute. But, you could still buy the eraser Palominos in the store.
Yeah.
And it's just still
$15,
pretty, still pretty recent memory. So I feel weird about it because as you mentioned, Tim, and I think some pretty cynical person in the group said this too, is they're just looking for a way to sell, a $12 a dozen pencil for $30 a dozen.
With just to put a different hat on it, And it's such a huge jump from here's the first Blackwing ever that Walt Disney used, and here's a pencil we made in the 2000s. To jump like I thought they would do more. I mean, I was hoping maybe there'd be like a Van Dyke. I don't know if they have if they have the permission to do that kind of thing. They might not, but other versions of the Blackwing, just stick with the Blackwing. You don't have to. This is like you said, this is one for like maybe 20 years down the road. Again, I don't mind that much because I like it, so I'm still gonna use them and love them. But it just was a really odd second choice for the eras.
Yeah. When the era came out, did they sort of announce that it was going to be a series? I thought it was a one-off thing.
It seemed like it was going to be a recurring kind of.
Yeah, the way that they said it seemed like it was going to be like there were going to be several or more than one sort of in that collection, but they really didn't
interesting.
commit to anything. Yeah.
Just like occasionally we'll revisit one kind of.
Occasionally we'll put out 3 different pencils in 2 weeks.
Yeah, just for.
Jeez.
Meanwhile, they're still assembling like pages over at Field Notes.
Yeah, I think somebody who works there has to have an interesting sense of humor about completists to be like, hey, you know what? Let's change the imprint. Let's like put a different eraser on it. Let's change the box. Let's really mess with these people. Because like you would really just go so broke chasing all their stuff down.
Oh God, yeah. So we the 3 of us kind of split a subscription, or not a subscription, but a box, and you can get them in both the orange and the blue, which I think is like a cool idea because you could get the original Palomino in the orange and the blue. But yeah,
I wonder why they did it that way instead of just doing one box of 6 of each.
What do you think, Johnny? How do we get people to buy 2 dozen?
Yeah, I mean, so $60 instead of
I don't know how many people are going to buy them. We're only going to buy one box anyway.
Yeah,
like I need 3 for later, 1 for now, and 6 for eBay.
Yeah. It really does feel like this collection is for the wonks, like the people in our group and our listeners, right? Like, does anybody just out there who might pick up impulse buy some fancy pencils from an art store, do they care that this is like an homage to a pencil they made 15 years ago? I don't know. I do wish, I was saying in the group that they don't seem to be doing a tribute to the like foil stamps on it, but I really wish it had that California Republic logo on it. Like in tribute.
Oh, that would have been awesome. You're right.
I missed that brand. I thought it was cool.
Yeah. Did the original Blackwing have that on there, or did it just say Palomino? I can't remember even.
Oh gosh, I don't remember. I'll have to look at that. I have a couple old Fleck Blackwings in my stash. Yeah. Oh, just what? Let me pull out my little box right now. Nope, it had the horse, but I don't believe it had the California Republic logo on it.
Oh, that was classy. I loved that.
Yeah. So interesting new era from Blackwing. We talked about the Independent Bookstore Day pencil last time. When I was distributing these, I also included one of those in it. Just even though I know y'all hate it, I thought I'd tell
you. They're even worse in person, by the way. So, I mean, I appreciate the gesture.
I've grown to like that.
Okay.
I've grown to like that really weird little like random gold stripe that's at the bottom, at the base of it, about a third up. I don't know why. Just weird. Okay, cool. So I also want to mention, I think I talked about this a little bit in Tools of the Trade. I am coming up to the end of my Leuchtturm, and I'm in the part where the pages start getting perforated.
Ooh.
So coming up toward the end. And it's been so long since I've started using this, and I have not really thought about using another sort of like daily notebook. I don't know what to do next. Do you have any suggestions, either of you?
I'm in the same boat, and in my Amazon cart, I have a brighter colored one for spring. So I'm flirting with that, or a Rhodiorama, or one of those cool vintage French notebooks, because I found a seller on eBay that makes plastic covers for them. So I'm beside myself. I can't decide either. I might just wind up letting the kids pick it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't decide if I should go back to Confidants, which I usually do, or if I should stick with the Leuchtturm, or if I should look up one of those other like brands, Log and Jotter or not Log and Jotter, Mark and Fold, or yeah, I can't decide yet. If anybody has any suggestions. Yeah.
Right, Notepad's hardcover book. That's also on my possible list.
And
Oh yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
You're specifically looking for a hardback book like in that style?
Not necessarily, but that's kind of what I was thinking. I wanted to be the A5 size. So I was also thinking maybe one of those like large field notes, like the Roastery editions that are like much thinner, but A5.
Yeah, two things that popped into my head were one was the one I'm going to talk about later, which is a Marimon. It's a spiral notebook, but it's a really nice spiral notebook. Like it's like a larger size. When I say really nice, I just mean like it's shaped like the cheapo ones that you would find at the Walmart or whatever, but it's really nice quality, and it lays really nice and flat, and the paper's great, and they come in a graph paper too. But the other one I was thinking about was the notebook that Blackwing put out with the Woody Guthrie. Was that like
the competition book?
Yeah, the
yeah, that thing's pretty cool. So
yeah, that's good to know.
Are you going to use any pens or just pencils?
I use a little bit of both. I think probably every day, mostly it's my pencil, but I tested out that fountain pen in here. Sometimes when I'm making a list, I pick up a fountain pen just to play with, or a ballpoint. So probably a little bit of everything.
The Clairefontaine book that Tim sent me when we did those other guys did that thing on Indelible where they bought each other pens. On Amazon, they're like $9, and they come in a lot of colors, and they have amazing paper.
That's a good. Another spiral one that I still love, and I talked about it on the show like a long time ago. It's Clairefontaine. It's a little larger spiral notebook that I bought at an art store, and I'll send you a link. They're like $9, but they're the paper's incredible. I'll send you a link to it because these are.
Okay.
Yeah, the one that Tim sent me was hard to open, but I just broke the spine in a bunch of places, and it flips open, and it's solid. It's really freaking nice book.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay, I think I just picked my next book. This was helpful. Thank you, Eddie.
No, thank you.
You've got now he's got his picked, and you're still like trying to figure out what you're going to use. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's
Johnny goes through notebooks so much faster than I do. Like this, I started this notebook right after quarantine started last year, and I'm just now getting to page 233. So I go through them pretty slowly.
Yeah, start at that one.
Yeah. Speaking of notebooks, there's a couple new Baron Figs that I wanted to mention. One of them is they're making a really pretty Periwinkle Confidant now of their stock.
Oh, that is a pretty color.
Yeah, I just got an email about that today. Light purple, kind of dusty Periwinkle. Fun to say, fun to use. It's a really good one. They introduced another interesting one that is one of their like structured notebooks. It is called, and they don't call it a structured notebook. What do they call it? They call it a guided edition. So this one is called a Deploy, and it is a code notebook. And I was kind of looking at it. That it's basically has just some like tabular pages for you to write code into.
Do people write code in notebooks?
Yeah, and so that was my question. So I took it to the Baron Fig Fanatics Facebook group, where I know that there's a bunch of people who are working code for their jobs, like John Morris and Mark Cohen. And I'm like, is this useful to anyone? And Seth McCombs, who's a guy I've been talking to about mechanical keyboards, but it's just asking them all, is this something that people would use? And everybody was just like, it's an interesting idea, but no. So I'll be really interested to see how Baron Fig kind of suggests people use that, and also if people buy it, because it's like it's cool. It has a very cool, kind of vector image spaceship on the cover. It looks kind of like a retro video game. Black Confidant. The pages are like pretty just regular ruled, so it's probably pretty easy just to use it for regular stuff. But yeah, unlike all their other notebooks, this one doesn't feel to me like it has a really actual good use case. Yeah, but I would definitely be interested in hearing if anybody here, actually, like any listeners actually find use out of this, because I haven't been seeing much from Baron Fig lately. This is the first in a while.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Since like the fall when they had the orange one, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while. Also want to mention I just bought on Etsy the other day some T-shirts that Bob Truby from Brand Name Pencils is selling. He made in the same sort of style as those Musgrave T-shirts that have the pencil designs on them. He's made some T-shirt designs out of like old brands. Like he made a Futura shirt. He made a U.S. Pencil Company Electro shirt. He has one at the Wallace Pencil Company Black Oak and a bunch of other ones. Super cool. If you want to get your T-shirt collection to be just different types of old pencils, like you can totally make that happen.
Got 7 days of the week now.
So, yeah. link in show notes to the Brand Name Pencils Etsy shop. He has some stickers and stuff there too. He's kind of becoming a whole little enterprise.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, last thing I'll mention, and eventually I think it would be cool to have like a main topic about this, but I have sort of been getting into mechanical keyboards. And I know we talked about this. Did we talk about this last week?
A little bit.
Last time?
And it was...
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I finally made a purchase. It is this Chinese keyboard, this Chinese company called iQunix, and it's really cool colors. I picked out the kind of like switches, the keyboard switches that I want to use. They're kind of clicky, but aren't too loud. So next time we record, I should have a review of this. I should be getting this next week.
Cool. I'm interested, so I'd like to hear how you like it.
Yeah. Yeah, just following up on that. I can't remember if last time I talked about how I discovered that there's a website where you can print your own keycaps and essentially letting you design your own keyboard.
Because I think
still obsessed.
I think when you first started talking about it, you were like,
I've
heard you can get really fussy and like change colors, all this crazy stuff, but I'm not really into that. And then the next thing I know, you're like, so you can put your own font on top, and then dove in really quickly, which I respect. I probably would have too. I probably will too at some point.
Yeah. That is kind of the depth that I went to. There's a couple. I was talking about this guy. He comes to the San Francisco Stationery Meetup out here, and he has this keyboard that is both ergonomic in that, like the sides of the keyboard are separated, and they're also ortholinear, which means that the keys are in a straight line instead of like slightly offset like most keyboards. Yeah, yeah. You got to type with your teeth. And then he also uses like a layout called a Workman layout, which is more balanced between the left and the right side, whereas the QWERTY is very like left-hand heavy. And I was just reading about that, and so he's a guitar player, so his wrists are just like ruined, and so apparently the ortholinear keys and the Workman layout has a better distribution and like less movement of your wrists. So, and it's also a really good way to prevent like people from using your computer because nobody can use that keyboard. Yeah. So yeah, as far as deep as I've gone, Seth has shown me that one can go much deeper. Cool. So that is it for my very long list of fresh points.
Yeah.
How about you?
First one I wanted to bring up was some notebooks that I've kind of referenced a couple times, but I got sent some notebooks from Michelle with Marumon USA, which thank you, Michelle, for sending these. Just kind of reached out and said, like, I've got some notebooks, wondering if you'd be interested, what kind of thing are you into? And she just sent this like really awesome assortment of notebooks, which is really funny, like a super coincidence, because the last episode we did my pretty much my only fresh point was about that Hank Williams notebook. Remember about how like I was looking for a certain kind of spiral notebook that Hank Williams had used. Not finding it. I'm still not finding it. I'm probably never going to find it. But I ended up going on JetPens and found a Craft Brown spiral lined notebook that was made by Maruman. And so I ended up getting one. So I bought a ruled one and love it. It's like really, really great, really tight spiral. It lays perfectly flat. The cover is nice and stiff. But she also sent me a graph paper one. So it's really nice, 80 sheet, 5mm squares. And so I've really been enjoying that. But they also got some other really neat things in a smaller. Are you familiar with the Nemesign company or like Nemesign brand? So that's made by Maruman.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's the same company, and so you're made in Japan. There's another one that was I haven't messed with it much, but it's. I guess you could use it as like a blank planner where you just put in the dates, or you can also use it as like meeting notes because it has like sort of an organization to it. There are 3 sections. You title it. There's a date section, or you can number, which is pretty neat. But they're really, really cool looking. This one's got like a black plastic cover. And then one other standout for me was also I'm trying to get better about writing letters back to people this summer. It's something that's a goal. And she sent they call it the report pad, but it's just a lined pad that is let's see, what size is this? It's in millimeters, so I don't know what this means, but 257 by 182. So if you can B5, there it is. B5 is the size. But it's perfect paper. It's super smooth. It's fine, almost like a like Bible paper or whatever, or like Library of America paper with lining on one side and has a line for the date at the top. And so this is going to be my new letter writing paper that I'm really, really super excited about using that pad for. And then the last one from there that I was going to mention is the one I mentioned earlier that I've been using today, and it's called the Croquis, Croquis. By the way, a lot of these are available. She had mentioned, because the place she asked me to look at to see what I was interested in on JetPens. You can find these on JetPens, and really all reasonably priced. And I love buying things from JetPens. So
nice.
Good. It's a good place. But this one is, you wouldn't call it a perfect bound. I mean, it has like the square binding on it, but it's basically just like a wraparound sticker on the binding. What do you call that? It's not stitched. I don't know, but you know what I'm talking about. But it's the tape binding or whatever is super. You can like easy to manipulate, so it basically it lays perfectly flat, which is really cool. Right. It lays. Yeah. First time I got it lays perfectly flat and has really creamy, like a creamy yellowish paper. And I got it with blank sheets in it. So that's something that I thought about maybe using it as a songwriting notebook, like a lyric thing, kind of keep it at my desk down here at some point once I work through the ones that I've got here. But I'm really impressed. And again, she sent me these to let me take a look at them. And so I'm not just saying it because I got them, but I really am impressed with a few of these a lot, especially that big spiral notebook. That's by far my favorite, and that's the next notebook I'm going to use because I'm about to finish. I'm about to finish up my Leuchtturm that I use for like work stuff that I've had forever, and so I think I'm gonna jump into the spiral notebook and see how it holds up. The only question I have about how it holds up is that every page is perforated. So I don't know how. I haven't tested the strength of the perforation to see how well it'll hold up. Yeah, so it might not.
But you don't want that just kind of tearing out on
sturdy, because the paper's a good quality and not like super duper thin on this one, so it might be. And it's really well bound with a tight spiral. Like there's just like a ton of holes, so it might be stronger than it looks. I don't know. So that's that from Maruman USA. Nice. You can follow them on Instagram. I think it's like Maruman USA.
It sounds like a Pokemon character,
maybe. Maruman, yeah. Man, we're entering that world in our house right now. Oh, Pokemon! Henry's getting obsessed with Pokemon, and I'm gonna.
Oh, really?
But it's amazing because he's obsessed with it, but he's never played it. He just like has a book, like a encyclopedia of Pokemon that he like loves looking at. and he has like a few little toys. And so his end of the school year, made it out of second grade gift, is I'm going to get him the new Pokemon Snap for Switch. Because it seems perfect, because it's like nature photography. It's not like battling, and it just seems a little more like relaxing. So we're going to try that out.
Yeah. Do you have the Pokemon Go app on your phone for him to play with?
Because it's like
giving cocaine to a
lifetime supply of Pop Rocks,
to a child.
Or like here's an endless bucket of Fun Dip.
Go wild, kid.
So I'm a little, yeah.
Tim, do you ever want your
exactly?
Yeah, do you ever want to see your phone again?
He's going to be.
And do you ever want to have a charged
outside,
battery?
Which it'll get him outside, which I think is great. But I'm literally afraid that he's going to take my phone, just walk out into our neighborhood, and just get himself lost. Yeah, and the traffic, that would be bad.
Traffic.
But just end up in somebody's backyard, end up trespassing or something, which I could totally see happening. Yeah. So the only other thing I've got, and this is pretty cool, and this is also another connection to the Hank Williams stuff, but I'm trying to think of how I ended up finding this. I think I was looking up stuff about the Bob Dylan archives that are opening up that are connected to that like Blackwing that came out, the blue pencil. And in it, I found out about something that has been part of Bob Dylan lore for a long time that I had never come across, but is that I found out that he is a pocket notebook user and has some famous pocket notebooks in his collection that people have discussed for years and have actually sold at auctions and stuff. And the main ones, which there are multiple, and there's a really cool picture that shows like all of his different pocket notebooks, but the main ones were the notebooks that he wrote the lyrics for the Tangled Up in Blue album. And so basically, like, Dylan's archives are becoming available through this center for the first time, and people are seeing with these little glimpses that he is so much more like meticulous than people would have assumed. Like that this stuff isn't just coming out, that he was doing draft after draft after draft after draft after draft, right? And he has this like tiny little handwriting in these little pocket spiral notebooks that he was just carrying around and writing all these songs. So I've heard references that someday there will be a book that'll probably come out that'll basically be like a facsimile kind of thing where it's all of the pages in the Tangled Up in Blue notebooks kind of annotated, which would be super awesome to be able to see. And also there's lots of, he writes lots of lyrics that don't make it into the song. And the interesting connection to the Hank Williams thing, that's where I kind of got off track, but is that his pocket notebook, and that link that I sent you guys to that No Depression article, did you notice that it has the spiral logo on the front of it? It's the same, the spiral.
No.
Yeah. And
it's just teasing you.
He is a self-professed Hank Williams fanatic. And so I just had an intense burst of pleasure in my core thinking about the possibility that he had sought out a notebook because he had seen the notebooks used by Hank Williams, that he was like, I need to find one just like Hank Williams had. I like had that brief. I guarantee that's not true, but
I see that.
It was really fun for a second to be like, oh, what if he was hunting this down just like I'm trying to hunt again? Like I'm just part of a tradition. The spiral, it's the same note.
Spiral,
same
there it is.
icon or whatever.
Now I want to read it if it's like if there's a lyric that's tangled up in periwinkle.
That would be a great, like, he's like, oh no, that doesn't sound right. Yeah. Tangled up in royal blue.
Not periwinkle.
No. Tangled up in violet. Man, I can't get this. I forget about it. It does say in that article that the Tangled Up in Blue was originally called Dusty Blues, and then it was called Blue Carnation 1, which is he made a good choice there. The revisions paid off. But this is an unpublished lyric from his pocket notebook. So it says, perhaps you've seen me walking on the highway in your mind, had some big ambitions, but they all broke like glass. Always done my duty and tried to be kind. I couldn't stop the progress of a nation going blind. It's like, dang, that was his throwaway.
Wow.
That's that's the stuff where he's like,
Yeah,
"That's
it's like,
that's how you're-"
this isn't good
So-
enough.
But it's very cool. So there's I encourage people, if you're interested in Bob Dylan, just to Google Bob Dylan's pocket notebooks, and there's actually a lot out there of interesting pictures from his pocket notebooks, and there's a little bit of lore behind a few of them that, yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah. Sometimes I forget he's still alive. Like, we talk about Bob Dylan, he's this genius just
Yeah,
passed away.
he's
But,
just
he's still making pocket
intensely
notebooks out there. Maybe.
private. It's wild. And here's to be a good cover photo.
Yeah.
But this is, I'll share it with you guys. But this is a picture of basically a stack of his pocket notebooks from the archives. So here, this is great podcasting.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna paste
that'd
it
be good
into
cover
here and
art.
just let you guys see it. And then maybe if you're listening, you can we can edit this out. But are you guys ready for this?
This is
you ready?
riveting. People
Get
want, this is
ready.
what people want
Get
to hear.
ready. There it is.
Yeah.
So,
You're ready. Are you ready?
oh, well, it's there. Google's lying to you.
Oh, I don't see anything.
You're
Loading.
teasing. There it
Yeah.
is.
Do,
It's loading.
Let me
So,
reload. There it is. Oh yeah, look at
it
these
is.
guys. Yeah,
It's pornographic.
that like little really beat up leather one that
That
just
is very
says
cool.
notes and embossed, like debossed
So
gold is
yeah,
really
that's
cool.
all. That's all I've got.
Yeah.
So if you're a Bob Dylan fan,
Huh.
Google Bob Dylan pocket
Yeah.
notebooks, and there's a whole bunch of stationary goodness out there to wade through. So, anybody got anything else you want to bring up before we close
Nice.
things up? All right.
I don't think so.
Yay,
Johnny?
please.
I can't think of anything. Oh, field notes. Where are you?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
We'll be able to talk about them next time. So that's good.
yeah. Hopefully.
I
They're
am
just going to be
freaking
craft
stoked.
brown.
Yeah. Cool. Surprise!
They do have a weird tease on their website with this beautiful green and letterpress that says 50.
Yeah.
It's like it wouldn't be like
We'll
them to
find
tease
out.
about that and for it to be nothing.
Yeah.
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 But also not exactly
We'll
that.
find
right?
out.
Like,
All right. Johnny, where can people find you on the
I am not
internet?
going to sleep tonight. Oh, you could find me at pencilrevolution.com
Andy?
and on social media at pencilution.
and I am at andy.wtf.
You can find me on
or
Instagram
Twitter
at Timothy
Instagram
Wassam,
as
and I'm on
@awassam.
Twitter at Tim
How about you,
Wassam. We have a very loving and generous group of people that are supporting us on Patreon. And if you're interested in doing that, you can do so at erasable.us/Patreon. We have some certain kinds of extra content that we give out. This year it included some really cool t-shirts that were designed with the help of our friend Ali Sarah. And we also have some jokers who do a pen podcast for us. It's called Indelible, that is released only to our Patreon subscribers. So there are extra content that is made available to you that's always kind of developing and could change over time, but that's a way of us to say thank you for supporting us at different levels. So if you're interested, that's erasable.us/Patreon. And these are our $10 producer level patrons: David Johnson, Lori Smith, Phil Munson, Nate Raybeck, Donnie Pierce, Bill Black, Miriam Bokout, Dave, Harry Marks, Allison Zapata, Diana Oakley, Tom Keekley, Andre Torres, Kyle, Paul Moorhead, Andrew Squish, Ali Sarah, Jamelia, Stephen Franksali, Aaron Willard, O.A. Pryor, KP, Millie Blackwell, Chris L., Hunter McCain, Bob Ostwald, Michael Dialosa, Adam Probola, Jacqueline Myers, Tana Feliz, Ann Sipe, Joe Crace, Measure Twice, Michael Hagan, Chris Metzges, John Bainan, Bill Clow, Random Thinks, Jason Dill, Dave McDonald, Mary Collis, Alex Jonathan Brown, Andre Prevost, sorry, Kathleen Rogers, Bobby Letzinger, Fourth Letter, Kelton Weens, Scott Hayes, Hans Noodleman, Terry Beth, Jay Newton, Stuart Lennon, Dave Tubman, Chris Jones, and John Wood. Yeah, let me start over. So,
Wait, I missed that. Can you back
let me
up?
take a
Can you say
nap
that
and I'll go
again?
for the summit in the morning.
We weren't recording.
Thank you so much to those of you supporting us on Patreon. There are multiple levels you can support us at, from as little as, what is it, $2
Yeah.
a month or whatever. So, yeah. So thank you
Yeah.
to our supporters on Patreon.
$2, $5.
You can
and
follow the
$10.
podcast on Instagram and Twitter at Erasable Podcast. And you can join us on Facebook, like our page at facebook.com/Erasable Podcast, or join our wonderful Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Erasable. If you have a second, go over to iTunes or to Overcast or whatever podcatcher you use and rate and review the podcast. That helps us a great deal. There's not a whole lot we can do to promote things, and that's one of the most effective ways is to bump us up in the algorithm by giving us a little review love on iTunes. And also, we need to, feel like we should do an episode one time where we like dig through some of those reviews and talk about some of our reviews on the episode. We haven't done that in a long time. Ooh, I haven't looked at them.
I want a dramatic reading of the negative reviews.
It's probably been 2 years since I've looked at some of them.
Talk
So like,
too much about pencils.
I hope we have some real bad ones.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to get drunk and read some of the like mean ones. Like you guys
Yeah.
talk too much, and I gotta fast
like that
forward
Jimmy
it, but
Fallon
for
or
some
the
reason
Jimmy
I insist
Kimmel,
on
like,
listening anyway.
mean tweets segment or whatever. We do that. All right, but yeah. So rate and review us on iTunes, recommend us on Overcast, whatever. The show notes for this episode will be at erasable.us/163. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.
Do you like our podcast? Most people like our podcast. But if you don't like our podcast, baby, we'll turn it off.